Updates. So this is a bit of a double-edged sword. You should always make sure that you've got a backup before you start things like updates, and you should make sure that you don't have any urgent deadlines, because any update can disturb the functionality of your machine. An update can not process correctly and leave your machine bricked and non-functional at all. Updates are changing the code that you've been relying on, and if they change it in a negative way, you're in trouble. Some of the things that you should notice are that you should update the applications first. Some applications only run on older operating systems, so it's always best to have the latest version of the application installed and running before you go and update the operating system that lives below that, to minimize the chances of the new operating system leaving the old application not working at all. You should keep your antivirus up to date, and once you've updated your antivirus, you should run a scan. It's really no good updating the antivirus and then only scanning a few days later. You should run it straight after the update so that you can catch any of the new things that have been added to the updated antivirus. And then, as with any updates, and whether it's the update to your applications, your operating system, your antivirus, whatever it is, read the release notes. Read what is being updated and why. If it's a security update, apply them. Security patches are key. If it's just a feature update, then look through the notes and decide whether this is really key. And if it's not key for you to do it now and you do have some pressing work, then delay it. And there's some feature updates that you may never install. You always run the risk of having a feature update make your package slightly unstable. And if you've got a stable version now, there's no real reason to change. The other thing that's a bit of a problem is it's better to do your updates one at a time and check for stability and functionality after each update so that you know which one got you into trouble if one of them did get you into trouble. But obviously from a time point of view, that's not always possible. But do try and at least batch your updates into 2 or 3 updates, and then wait a while and then do a few more, or at least do a backup in between, so that if you end up with a problem, you can step backwards, you can roll back. And leaving some time between updates to see if there is any problems is a great way to try and stabilize your environment. It's best to set your updates to run when you're on uncapped bandwidth. So don't let updates run when you're on 3G data. That'll just run up the costs, and you'll end up disconnected from the internet. It's best to look at your update settings and make sure that they're set not to run on cellular networks. And if your Wi-Fi happens to be some hotspot router that's running through cellular as well, then switch off updates on Wi-Fi as well, and only do them when you're on a cable. Best to set updates to run at night so that they don't disturb you. Some of them are quite long, and they take half an hour to an hour to do. Now, with all this said, keep your machine as updated as possible. There was a point in time when every time you opened Adobe, it would ask you to update itself. And the problem with not updating it was the rate at which the infections were coming through. It was safer to update Adobe and open the attachment than it was to open the attachment and make time for the update later, because the amount of Adobe updates was just dramatic. So keep your machine up as updated as possible, because security is really, really important. But yet, managing to do that can be really painful.